Good morning, traders. I am Emily Bonney, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Thursday, March 27th. Tariff talks dominate market sentiment as we come off a sharply lower session on Wall Street yesterday. All three major indices closed in the red. The Dow gave up 132 points, or 0.31%. The S&P 500 dropped 64 points, or 1.12%. The Nasdaq slipped 372 points, or more than 2%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're flat to lower now. We were flat to higher. Now we're flat to lower. The market's down 0.05. And it's not really directional. It's looking for direction. So this little movement comes as the market is kind of deciphering how to react to President Trump's announcement on autos tariffs and auto parts tariffs last night. Part two of his tariff plan, is happening next week on April 2nd. So you don't want to get too ahead of yourself here. But the focus today definitely will be on, center on the tariff concerns. We do have a couple of economic reports that are worth paying attention to. You get the GDP and you get the Jobless Claims reports coming out. I see OpenAI is close to finalizing a $40 billion in funding. It's being led by SoftBank. What else? There's a global heads of German auto manufacturers, BMW and Mercedes, as well as chip giant Qualcomm. They're all set to meet with President Xi of China this week. There could be something there. In terms of earnings, Lululemon's coming out after the bell today, ticker LULU. We'll have to see. We'll get more into that in a little bit. And now we're just taking a quick look at the European markets, and the DAX is down 209 points at 0.92%. German leaders have urged for immediate negotiations to avoid a potential trade war that could have significant negative consequences for both German and global economies. The FTSE. Down 60 points, that's 0.7%. The UK Chancellor indicated that the UK has no plans for retaliation. Germany sells a lot of cars. 3/4 of if you look at Germany's auto sales, 3/4 of their profits come from sales being made in the US. The UK does have a variety of automobile manufacturers, but it's minor compared to Germany. The CAC is down 50 points, or 0.62%. There is still a weakness in some of in the healthcare and auto sector in France. And then we're taking a look last night in Asia. We're looking at the Nikkei, and the Nikkei fell 227 points. That's 0.6%. With weakness where? Autos, due to the Trump tariffs talk. Hong Kong, on the other hand, finished higher by 95 points. That's 0.4%. And they had positive action in tech, pharmaceuticals, and automobiles. China, did deliver a gain. It was up 0.15% with gains in pharma and tech stocks. So, that's kind of nice to see. And then you took a look at oil, and oil is trading slightly lower. It's down, about 0.2%. You get WTI at $69.55 a barrel. You got Brent at $73.65 a barrel. Yesterday's EIA stockpiles did show a draw, which was good. Reliance Industries out of India, they're planning to halt any oil imports from Venezuela as part of, they don't want to encounter any tariff risks from President Trump. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update, Emily.
Bill, those announcements of tariffs on autos are really, the big focus today, and anticipating upcoming tariff announcements. But there are a number of details that you also mentioned, data worth watching. There's at least one interesting earnings report due after the bell that you gave us a preview of, and a couple of key economic reports. So we will dive in here. Let's start with the earnings releases. Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings action?
Concentrix, that's ticker CNXC, Charlie, Nancy, X-ray, Charlie. Hey, they beat by 20 cents. They only met revenue expectations, but you look at that stock, it's up over 8%. It's up 8.36% this morning. Then you look at Jefferies, ticker JEF, Jefferies Financial Group, JEF, John Edward Frank. They missed by like 45 cents. And, the investment banking, takeover deals, they're just not there. And, the stock's down 4.96% this morning. Upcoming after the bell today, the big one is Lululemon, ticker LULU, Larry Uncle, Larry Uncle. It's got an EPS is $5.85. And the expected move for Lululemon is 9.47%. I mean, you look at the call put action yesterday, it was a 1.32% puts the call, 11,820 calls traded to 15,617 puts. So, that is negatives, but it's priced for a big move, 9.47%. But we'll keep an eye on Lululemon this afternoon when they release earnings today, Emily.
That one is certainly worth watching. And speaking of watching, there's some key economic events that you pointed to in the opening. So we'll get to the economic events of the day. Bill, give us a rundown there.
Okay, at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we get the GDP report. We also get jobless claims. Also at 8:30, international trading goods. This is the advanced figure. In terms of Fed speak, at 4:30 p.m., we get Richmond Fed Bank President Thomas Barkin. Also at 4:30 p.m., Boston Fed Bank President Susan Collins will be speaking. In terms of that GDP, that's going to be a key number, and that's expected to slow, which is kind of negative for the markets, but it's going to remain positive is what it's calling for. Estimates are looking for an increase of 1.6%. Jobless claims, on the other hand, expected to come in at 226K versus last week's 223K reading. As long as it stays below at 250, the labor market number is good. And so labor's continue to show strength. So, but that's what I have for you in terms of economic updates, Emily.
And Bill, you'll see those numbers right as they hit the tape using your economic alerts on your NewsWare. Also that Fed speak and the earnings action, gathering that as it comes out and gathering other types of information as it hits the tape every morning and throughout the trading day. You look at things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, catalyst calls. You also group your stocks together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Just doing a data check. I'm looking at my Dow stock. I've got 15 higher and 15 lower mixed. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. A little positive action in Google and Tesla, but everything else is trading lower. You look at some of the news behind the tape, like Apple. The Utah governor is signing a law requiring Apple and Google to verify users' ages. I don't think that's enforceable, but okay. Meta, an advisor to Europeans, top court has backed Meta's WhatsApp in its fight with the EU privacy watchdog. Remember, they were fined a few $100 million by I think Ireland. You look at shares of Meta trading lower by 0.8% this morning. Tesla, Elon Musk is out there saying that Tesla is not unscathed due to the tariffs. But the tariff action could actually wind up benefiting EV makers. And with the tariffs, there's a barrier to enter the U.S. for EV manufacturers, which kind of gives Tesla a price advantage. You're looking at Tesla, it's trading higher by 0.3% this morning. We're looking at Dow Jones stocks, and we're talking about Microsoft for a second because they're a big backer of OpenAI. OpenAI is close to finalizing funding that values the company at $300 billion. Wow. NVIDIA, China's H3C warns of NVIDIA AI chip shortage amid surging demand. You're looking at shares of NVIDIA this morning, though, and they are off by almost 2%. In terms of guidance news, Steelcase, SCS, Sam Charlie Sam, they see Q1 adjusted EPS coming in 13 cents to 17 cents, with the street estimates at 12 cents. That's very positive. Miller Knoll, MLKN, Michael, Larry, Kilo, Nancy, they see Q4 adjusted EPS coming in 46 cents to 52 cents. Street estimate 77 cents. That's a big downtick. In terms of shareholders meetings going on, Dutch Bros, ticker BROS, Boy, Richard, Oscar, Sam, they're hosting an Investors Day today, starts at 11 a.m. And Sienna, ticker CIEN, Charlie, India, Edward, Nancy, they're holding their stockholders meeting today at 3 p.m. That's worth paying attention to. In terms of buyback news, XPO, X-Ray Paul, Oscar, they announced a share repurchasing agreement of up to 750 million shares, $750 million. Problem is this is replacing the 500 million that's left on their current share repurchase agreement. So it's not really 750, it's really 250. But stock's trading higher. I don't think it's going to be able to hold those gains. In terms of catalyst calls this morning, we're talking Stanley Black & Decker, SWK, Sam William Kilo. Deutsche Bank names SWK as a short-term sell idea. On the other hand, Johnson Controls, JCI, John Charlie India. Deutsche Bank names Johnson Controls as a short-term buy idea. But that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk Pick of the Day. Bill, what do you have for us today?
Got to go with Steelcase, SCS, Sam Charlie Sam. I mean, listen, they reported positive earnings last night, and their guidance was very good. And you look at yesterday's call volume, 1,779 calls versus 520 puts. I mean, that's like 3-1. I mean, major brokers aren't covering this stock. But if you can get in like $11, 10 cents, $11, 15 cents, this is an easy moneymaker. I like Steelcase at that price target. So that's my pick of the day. Steelcase, ticker SCS, Sam Charlie Sam, Emily.
Steelcase it is on sort of a post-earnings play there. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day. We heard you mention them during your Newsware alerts, so we will check in on that. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay, let's see what we have here. Ford tariffs could add $10,000 to car prices. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. RFK Jr. plans to cut 10,000 jobs in health and human services, according to the Journal. Pfizer, there are reports that Pfizer may have delayed its COVID vaccine until after the 2020 election. So they're being investigated. Apparently, it's quietly being investigated by the DOJ. But the head scientist came out and said any comments saying that, we delayed the vaccine are false. So I don't put any attention to this. I just think it's more of a, looking for a smoking gun that's not there. Aviva, got to be on watch today because they're making presentations today at an anti-aging conference. There could be something there. The PBMs, pharmacy benefit manufacturers, this is like Cigna, CVS, United Healthcare. Journals indicating that health insurance may have received duplicate payments from Medicare. Salerno Therapeutics, SLNO, trading higher after the FDA approval. Cava, ticker CAVA, that's being added to the S&P 400 on Monday. GameStop, ticker GME, they're selling $1.3 billion worth of notes and they're going to be buying Bitcoin with that money that they're going to raise. India's state-run product certification agency said it rated a deli warehouse of e-commerce giant Amazon, seizing items that did not meet quality control standards. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we get to trading on this Thursday, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Dutch Bros. We did hear you mention the company during your Newsware alerts breakdown. They do have that Investors Day today, which they'll be sharing company updates on that. And it was called one of the fastest growing brands in the U.S. in the quick service beverage industries. You picked this one yesterday. Again, we're sort of navigating these choppy waters here in the markets. It's either flat, up, down. It's hard to track day by day what the overall sentiment will be, but you were looking for a gain in this one. How did your call work out?
It was all about the entry price. I mean, listen, it worked out. I mean, the fact of the matter is, you look at the numbers for ticker BROS, Boy, Richard, Oscar, Sam, Dutch Bros. Stock opened up at 71.50. Now, I was saying, 71. I was saying 70.20, and then it fell down to 69.85, which is below the 70.20 mark that I had on it, and then it bounced back to 71.35. So there's your 1%. Take it. Walk away. Market weakness took over from there. The entire market was selling off because of the pending tariff announcement. Got really nervous. Stocks trading a little higher this morning, but yeah, was the 1% there yesterday? Absolutely. Got to appreciate that. Ticker BROS, Boy, Richard, Oscar, Sam, winner, Emily.
Taking that 1% when you see it, being diligent about that right now certainly makes a win, and we will check in with you tomorrow about today's steel case pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow to end your trading week with NewsWare's Trade Talk, when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.